Ever get that feeling like you really want to understand something, something kind of complicated, but you don't have hours to just sit and read?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's kind of what we're doing here, right? Like taking these deep dives into these fascinating subjects.
Right.
So today we're diving into, well, it's a pretty fascinating area of history and art.
Okay.
And it was all sparked by this YouTube video I saw, and it was talking about this book.
Okay.
The book's actually from like 30 years ago.
Damn.
Yeah, it's called Lost Empire of the Silk Road, Buddhist Art from Hara Hoto.
Oh, cool. I'm intrigued already.
Yeah, it's super interesting. And what's cool is this book, like, even after 30 years, it's still shedding light on this whole civilization, this whole artistic tradition that, honestly, a lot of people might not even know about.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's easy to forget about things that aren't right in front of us.
Right. And the video even points out that there's, like, an online version of the book.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's through the Internet Archive, so it's still accessible, which is amazing.
That's so cool that anyone could just access that,
Exactly. So our mission today on this deep dive is to really unpack those key insights from that video. We want to understand what it tells us about the art, the religious world of the Tangut society.
Right?
They were around between the 10th and 13th centuries.
Okay, so a while ago.
Yeah, a while back. And then, of course, we got to explore, the discovery of Hara Hoto itself.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's like a glimpse into this cultural crossroads, right?
Absolutely. And honestly, some of the stuff we've learned is pretty surprising.
Oh, now I'm really curious.
Yeah, it's super fascinating. One of the things that really stood out right away from the video's intro is just the stark contrast.
Okay.
It really highlights the difference between our modern viewpoints. A lot of us are secular.
Right. Yeah.
And the Tangut society, they were intensely religious.
Okay.
For them, it wasn't just a part of life. It was like completely woven into their existence. And that, of course, shows up in their art.
That makes sense. Like, how could it not?
Yeah. Right. And the book itself, the video really highlights this. It focuses specifically on the Buddhist art that they found at Hara Hoto.
Got it. So Buddhist art specifically.
Yeah. And get this, even the book cover itself tells a story.
Oh, wow. I love when even like the physical object has meaning.
Right. So it features a two-headed Buddha sculpture.
Whoa, hold on. Two-headed Buddha.
Yeah, two-headed. The video describes how it was made, and it's pretty ingenious. Like, they use these simple materials, reeds, straw, clay, and then they gilded it and painted it.
Wow. I mean, that sounds like a really unique approach, like they were working with what they had.
Totally. And what's even more interesting is there's this whole legend about this double-headed Buddha. The video shares the story.
Okay, what's the legend?
So supposedly there were these two people who each wanted a Buddha image.
Right.
But, they couldn't afford to commission two separate ones.
Right, yeah.
So they decided to, like, go in on one together.
Right.
And then, get this, it miraculously duplicated itself, resulting in the two heads.
Oh, no way. That's wild.
I know, right? It's a great story. And what makes it even cooler is that the Russian geographer Kozlov, the guy who explored the area,
Yeah.
he and his companion actually saw this sculpture in Hara Hoto.
Oh, really? So it's not just a story. They actually saw it.
Exactly. It's like tangible proof.
Yeah.
Then the video kind of shifts its focus to the actual discovery of all this stuff by Kozlov's expedition.
Yeah, the actual discovery. That's what I'm really interested in.
Right. So at first they found some things on the outskirts of Hara Hoto, some remnants of what looked like lotus thrones, bits of wall paintings, pieces of sculptures.
Okay, so already pretty interesting finds.
Right. But then, like, the real discovery happened.
Big one.
Yeah. So this is about 300 meters outside the city walls.
Okay.
They found a stupa. It's basically this circular dome-shaped thing, often has relics or serves as a burial mound.
Right.
And at the base of this stupa, they found skeletons.
Oh, wow.
But that's not even the craziest part. Around a wooden pillar nearby, they found all these life-size sculptures.
Whoa.
And they were all positioned facing the stupa. And get this, they also found hundreds, like tons, of manuscripts.
No way. So it was like a huge, significant site.
Huge. Can you imagine finding all that?
I mean, that's just incredible. Like a time capsule almost.
Totally. And the video mentions that when Kozlov saw all this, he thought Hara Hoto must have been the capital of the Tangut Empire.
Oh, that makes sense. I mean, with all those findings.
Right. But it turns out he was wrong. It was actually a border city.
A border city, huh?
Yeah. And kind of ironic, it was the first major city to fall to Genghis Khan.
Oh, wow. So it was right on the front line.
Exactly. So then it's like, well, why was all this stuff so well preserved?
Right, yeah.
The video talks about this theory that maybe the city was sealed up before the Mongols invaded.
Oh, interesting.
Like maybe being a border town, they didn't think it was worth destroying completely.
All right.
So they sealed it up for security, but it accidentally ended up protecting all this art and literature.
Wow, that's a pretty amazing accident.
Right. And think about how much they found. Over 100,000 manuscripts and paintings.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible.
I know, it's insane. And Kozlov's expedition, it was pretty small, only 15 to 20 people. There was no way they could take it all back to St. Petersburg.
Yeah, I can only imagine the logistics of that.
And the video mentions that they were also dealing with, like, armed nomads in the area. It was a whole thing.
Oh, wow, so it was dangerous too.
Yeah. So Kozlov decided to leave the bigger sculptures behind.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He planned to go back for them in 1926 on a second expedition.
Okay.
But then, of course, the Russian Revolution happened.
Oh, no.
And that second expedition never happened, so we still don't know what happened to those sculptures.
That's kind of heartbreaking in a way to think about those lost pieces.
Yeah, it is. Makes you think about how easily things can be lost, you know?
Oh, for sure. It's a reminder to appreciate what we have now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, shifting gears a bit, let's talk about the art itself.
Okay, yeah. Let's dive into that.
The video makes this really important point that the Tanguts didn't develop their beliefs in a vacuum. They were influenced by all the cultures around them.
Right. That makes sense. Like a cultural exchange.
Exactly. And one of the biggest influences was Taoism.
Taoism. Okay, yeah, from China.
Yep. And you can see it in how they thought about the universe. The video talks about this Taoist concept of 5 heavenly palaces.
5 heavenly palaces.
Yeah. So there's a central palace above the North Star,
Okay,
and then 4 others in the cardinal directions.
got it. So it's like a cosmic map in a way.
Yeah, exactly. And this ties into the figure of the Black Warrior, Xuanwu.
Juanwu. I don't think I'm familiar with that one.
Yeah, he's depicted barefoot with long hair, usually with a snake.
Okay, interesting.
And according to the video, he was the ruler of the Northern Heavenly Palace.
So he's like a powerful figure in this system.
Totally. It shows how these different belief systems kind of blended together.
It's so interesting how these things intertwine.
Right. And there's this one example that really illustrates this blending that the video talks about. It's the way they depicted planetary deities.
Planetaries of it.
Yeah, so picture this. You have Buddha in the center with the wheel of law.
Okay.
On either side, you have the sun and the moon.
Okay, so pretty standard so far.
Right. But then around them, there are 9 other celestial bodies.
9.
Yeah, like the 5 visible planets and then these like shadow planets that were part of their astrological tradition, all in these circles.
Huh. Shadow planets. That's interesting. So a mix of astronomy and astrology.
Totally. And get this, they also included the 12 signs of the Greek zodiac.
Whoa, what a Greek zodiac. That's unexpected.
Right. And they appear multiple times. Twice on the right, twice on the left, and even some at the top.
So they're really pulling from different systems here.
Yeah, it's crazy. And it doesn't stop there. They also included the 28 constellations of the Indian zodiac.
Oh my gosh, they just kept adding.
Right. But they're depicted as Chinese officials, which is interesting.
Wow, so it's this total fusion of like Western and Eastern traditions.
Absolutely. It shows that the Silk Road wasn't just for trading goods, it was for trading ideas, too.
It's like this incredible cultural exchange happening right there in the art.
Exactly. So then the video talks about some specific Buddhist figures.
Okay.
They start with Samantabhadra. He's the all-embracing good bodhisattva.
Okay, so a bodhisattva is like an enlightened being, right?
Yeah, exactly. Someone who delays their own nirvana to help others reach enlightenment.
Right, right. Okay, so what about Samantabhadra?
So in Tangut art, he's usually shown seated on a lotus, which is on top of an elephant.
A lotus on an elephant. That's pretty specific.
Yeah, it's a very Chinese tradition.
Yeah.
He's also holding a lotus flower, and he's usually with 2 other figures.
Okay, who are they?
The conqueror of death, and someone called Shankatan, who seems to be like a religious figure for the Tanguts.
Interesting. So a whole scene playing out.
Right. And then the video shows this other depiction, probably another bodhisattva. It's similar, but different. He's also on a lotus throne, but this time it's on a lion.
Oh, a lion. So maybe a different influence.
Exactly. The video says it's from Central Asian Buddhist traditions.
Ah, I see.
He's also with the conqueror of death in Shankai-tun, but he's holding something other than a lotus flower.
Oh, so maybe a different meaning then.
Right. The video's pointing out that even these little differences are significant.
Yeah, it shows how they were picking and choosing from these different traditions.
Exactly. And then it gets even cooler.
Yeah.
The video moves on to examples of art that show both their religious beliefs and their everyday life.
Oh, okay. So blending the sacred and the secular.
Yeah. One example is this painting, The Greeting of the Soul of a Righteous Man on the Way to the Pure Land of Amitabha.
Whoa, that's a mouthful.
I know, right? So you've
Right.
got this big Amitabha Buddha in the middle
Right.
and two smaller bodhisattvas holding lotus thrones. They're waiting for the righteous man to be reborn. And then you see the soul of the man going up to this heavenly realm. And at the bottom, there's the righteous man, who's a monk, before he died.
Wow, so it's like his whole journey.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And there's this art historian in the video who points out something really interesting.
What's that?
They say that maybe the artist didn't know every single detail of Buddhist iconography.
Oh, okay. So maybe some things aren't perfectly accurate.
Right. But what they did focus on was the faces and the emotions. They're incredibly detailed.
So it's like this blend of religious and secular portraiture.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
really special. Then there's another figure, Haizajaguru, the medicine Buddha.
Medicine Buddha. Interesting.
Yeah, he's sometimes called moon water, too. The video explains that he's a bodhisattva who made these huge vows to help everyone,
Okay.
like a savior figure in Buddhism, offering healing and protection.
I see.
So in this Hungat depiction, he's sitting on a mountain near bamboo and a rose bush.
Okay. Sounds peaceful.
Yeah, and Shankaitun is there too, in the upper part of the scene. But here's the really interesting part.
What's that?
At the bottom of the painting, there's a scene of a Tangut burial.
Oh, wow. So they combine these different elements.
Yeah, you see people dancing at a grave and this guy with like fortune-telling sticks on a cloud. It's super interesting.
So they're showing how their religious beliefs tied into their actual lives, even death.
Exactly. The video also mentions a depiction of Maya Devi, Buddha's mother,
Okay.
just to show the variety of religious subjects they had. And then we get to these really powerful images, these demonic female deities.
Demonic. Okay, now I'm really curious.
Yeah, they're called dakinis. They're these energetic female figures associated with wisdom.
Okay, I see.
But they can be pretty fierce. So this one dakini, the video describes her dancing on a buffalo, which is on a lotus.
That's a pretty wild image.
Right. And she's got 4 arms, 3 eyes, a skull in her headdress, and a necklace of human heads.
Whoa. Okay. That's intense.
Yeah, the video says these deities were thought to give spiritual abilities.
Okay, so powerful beings.
Definitely. And there's another dakini with 2 arms, skulls in her hair, heads around her neck, and a Buddha in her crown.
Oh, wow. A lot going on there.
Right. She's also dancing, but this time she's standing on a guy lying on a multicolored lotus.
Okay, that's an interesting detail.
Yeah, and the lotus is made to look like a silk carpet, which is kind of cool.
But definitely a lot of layers of symbolism there.
Totally. Then there's Green Tara, who's a peaceful female Buddha.
Oh.
In this depiction, she's got 2 dakinis below her. One's dancing and the other's playing music.
Oh.
And above her, there are 5 meditation Buddhas, like on a path upwards.
The 5 meditation Buddhas again. Seems like a recurring motif.
Yeah. And at the very top, there are 6 different kinds of trees.
Wow, they really packed a lot into these artworks.
For sure. But the video also shows the darker side of their beliefs. It describes a scene of suffering after reincarnation because of bad deeds.
Oh, wow. So like the consequences of your actions?
Yeah. It shows a hungry ghost. He's holding a bowl of rice, but he can't eat it because he doesn't have a proper throat or stomach.
Oh, wow. That's a powerful image.
It is. It's a metaphor for greed and attachment.
It makes you think about the choices you make, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Then the video talks about another important deity, Avalokiteshvara.
Avalokiteshvara. That name rings a bell.
Yeah, he represents compassion. He's really important in Chinese and Japanese Buddhism.
Right, right. I've seen statues of him before.
Yeah, so in one Tangut depiction, there are miniature stupas and figures of donors in the middle,
Okay.
like a monk and a couple. And above them are the 5 meditation Buddhas.
There they are again.
Yeah, the video says they represent the 5 heavenly palaces, so like the whole universe.
Okay, so it's like a microcosm of the cosmos.
Exactly. And there's another depiction that's really interesting. Avalokiteshvara is standing on a triangle, which represents fire.
Fire. Okay.
Yeah. And the whole thing is on a lotus throne. He's got 4 arms reaching out in the 4 directions.
Okay, so symbolizing his reach and influence.
Yeah, I think so. And below him, there are 4 smaller figures with 2 arms each, and then dancing girls with offerings, and 2 monks.
Okay,
And, you guessed it, above him are the 5 meditation Buddhas.
of course. Always got to have those 5 meditation Buddhists.
It's wild, right? All these threads, Tangut beliefs, Taoism, all these Buddhist traditions all woven together in their art. It's mind-blowing.
It really is. And it makes you wonder what else is out there still waiting to be discovered.
For sure. And the video ends with this really profound thought. They say that even for people who aren't religious, this art still has something to teach us.
What's that?
It teaches us about good and evil, and about the human desire to become better, to reach enlightenment.
That's a really beautiful idea. Like, even across different belief systems, we can still find common ground.
Exactly. So to wrap things up, what we've explored today is a glimpse into a lost culture.
Yeah, really.
Through its art, we can learn so much about the Tangut people. The discoveries at Hara Hoto, the book we discussed, it all reveals this amazing blend of Buddhist art, religious syncretism, and cultural exchange.
A real crossroads.
Absolutely. And it reminds us how interconnected everything is, even across centuries.
And you know what I find so fascinating? It's that this one YouTube video talking about a 30-year-old book can unlock all this knowledge.
Right. It's kind of amazing.
It's like a shortcut to understanding this whole civilization, its spiritual world.
Totally. So here's a final thought to leave you with. How is it that the art of a society that disappeared centuries ago can still speak to us today?
Yeah.
Make us think about morality, spirituality, our place in the universe. What about other lost cultures whose art still resonates with us?
Right. What can we learn from them about ourselves?
It's a question worth thinking about.
Absolutely. A great note to end on.
Thanks for joining us for another deep dive.
My pleasure. Until next time.